Hey, welcome to the RecLand Realty Podcast. This is a land review of 166 acres in Jasper County, Texas. If you're not familiar with Jasper County, it's in southeast Texas. It's about an hour and a half north of the Beaumont area, about 2.5-ish hours from Houston, kind of depending on where you're coming from. So it's in that part of the country there, near Lake Sam Rayburn and the Toledo Bend area. So just to give you a little ballpark of where it is. This is a cool tract. It's listed by Brandon White. He's a land broker and a forester for RecLand. Brandon has lived in Jasper County his whole life. He knows every nook and cranny, has touched just about every tree. So he's real knowledgeable in that part of the country. And he's got this tract listed. I've actually been on the tract a number of times myself. I've helped get some work done on it that I'll tell you about in just a minute. But first of all, let me take you over to the aerial map here. If you are new to this podcast, let me tell you how we do it. Of course, you're just hearing everything in voice, but everything I'm saying looking at my desktop, where I am clicking back and forth between aerial maps and listing information on the track and photos and things like that. So you can see everything that I'm seeing while I'm talking. If you want to look at the video version of this land review, and it's going to be on our YouTube channel, RecLand Realty. So it's easy to find RecLand Realty YouTube, and scroll down and find the video review. That's what we call these particular videos. There's lots of videos on that channel, but the video review is what I'm doing, and look for 166 acres, Jasper County, Texas. Let me zoom out here on the aerial and you'll get an idea of where it is in the world. You see that this property is situated on Highway 96. 96 is a main drag that runs from the south part of the state to the north part of the state over here in East Texas. And it's just a couple of miles north of Jasper and very near Lake Sam Rayburn that you can see here, and also Toledo Bend right there. This is a big recreational footprint here in this part of the country with these two big bodies of water and the bass fishing that goes on there, and then the deer hunting here in southeast Texas. So this property is situated right in the middle of it. Let me just zoom you in just a little bit here, and let's look at the tract itself. First thing that's going to jump out at you if you're looking at the area, looking at the video, is that this nice pond down here on the south end. I can't remember how many acres it is. I believe it's 5 or 6 acres. I've GIS'd it out before, but I just can't remember. I'm sorry, but it's 5 or 6 acres, just to give you an idea. Levied up all around the east and south sides. It's not levied on the west side because the ground is going up so severely there. That's a pretty good hill, so it's just a natural levee. This lake stays full of water because of the spring-fed creek here that runs through the property. You can get an idea of it here. It begins up here on the very northwest corner and runs north to south all the way through the center of the property down into this lake. And of course, there's an overflow, so the lake doesn't run over the levee. There's an overflow pipe that keeps excess water moving downstream. So it's really cool. Stays full of water. The levee around this lake is big pine trees. It's very shaded, very pretty. We actually hired a mulcher to come in and really clean off that levee because it's been grown up so badly over the years. Now it's so easy to walk, and it's fish opened up some spots to be able to fish under those big tall pine trees along that levee. So it really is pretty and really is relaxing. And when you're on it, you feel extremely secluded, even though you're just 3 or 4 miles out of town on the state highway. So the topography and the big timber and spots on this really give it a good secluded feeling. You'll also notice, in addition to the lake, that there is pine plantation. It's going to be scattered throughout the tract because of this creek bottom that runs through it, breaks the track up. This pine plantation is not ready to be thinned yet. It's probably a good 2 years, I'd say, from a first thinning. Just depends on how it goes, but I'd estimate 2 more years to a first thinning. It's probably 12-ish, 13 years old. Good stock. It's in there, good stock of pine, but just not quite ready to put on a truck yet. The track can be broken up like this. If you're not seeing it, let me explain it to you like this. It sits on the west side of the highway. It's got a good bit of highway frontage there. There is a big gate that keeps it private and secluded off that highway. There's big pine trees along the highway to really kind of isolate it a little bit. You cannot really see into the tract from the highway because of the big timber. And then you've got a big ridge on the west side, and then the creek in the middle, and then a big ridge on the east side. And that's sort of how the tract is broken up. You're going to have good deer hunting on the property. I've seen deer. We've got game camera pictures of deer on it. We don't have any giant buck pictures. Don't look there for that. I mean, we're talking about East Texas here. Yeah, they grow some big deer down there, but it's southeast Texas. There's a lot of deer, but there's not going to be any huge giants on this property unless he's just living there and nobody's seen him yet. I said a lot to say that to kind of give you a disclaimer that is, if you're looking for a trophy hunting place, I'm not sure this is going to be it. It may be, but I'm not sure. I don't know that for a fact. I do know some other places for a fact, but not necessarily this one. You're going to be able to hunt it easily. A number of places for deer stands, food plots, trails all throughout the property to get around. You'll be able to get that from the highway down to the lake very easily. There's a really nice trail that has actually been mulched and made wider to be able to get down there. And there's actually a small metal old building down there that could be, used as storage. It's on a concrete slab. You're not going to make a camp out of that, really, unless it's going to be a rustic camp. You probably want to do something a little nicer, but it could be used excellent storage, for four-wheelers and boats and equipment and things like that. There is a rock shallow water crossing across this creek to get to the lake right here. We actually had the seller come in and put several loads of big surge size stone in it. That's what I call, a softball size and bigger rock in that sandy bottom creek to be able to, you could get a four-wheeler ATV across that easily to be able to get across that creek to the other side of the property. A lot of habitat around this tract. The whole north and west and south is timberland, hunting clubs up in that area. So there's thousands of acres of backup habitat. The negative on this tract, I believe, why it's still on the market is, number one, it's pretty good recreational tract. So, the size and what the seller is asking, it makes it a little out of reach for some folks. I believe the price is currently $28.50 an acre, and it's 166 acres. So that's a mid $400,000 chunk, for recreational tract with some timber potential, with the pine plantation. That's one of the negatives. It's just a little bit of a chunk. The second thing is, there's no real easy way for you to get a pickup from the highway down to the lake area. You can get a pickup all the way down the lake real easy, but from there, getting a pickup to the rest of the tract on the west side, there's really not a way to do that right now. You can get an ATV across the creek, like I said, on that shallow water rock crossing. And then there are some trails that get up into the east or the west side of the track. But, the access to the west side is a little bit limited unless you're, a four-wheeler or a side-by-side or something like that. And so that's a little limiting factor. Most people, when they buy a track like this, they want to, be able to get a pickup and go, kind of all over it to work on it in the summer and things like that, to get a tractor over there to maybe put in some food plots. So I think that's a little limitation of it. Otherwise, it's a really pretty tract. That pine plantation is going to give you some income. That creek bottom running through it is pretty. You're going to see deer on the place. You've got a nice lake there for fishing and kids to play and you got a place to kind of enjoy. There's electricity right there, of course, and you're just a few miles from town, from Walmart Supercenter, restaurants, places to buy gear. Also, really good restaurant just south of it here called Tio Anita's. It's just a couple miles from it right there, so you'll eat there a lot. And you're close to some of the best, best recreational bodies of water that East Texas has in Toledo Bend and Lake Sam Rayburn. So let me take you over here to the listing page real quick before we go. You can there's a good aerial right there. There's some drone aerial and drone video of the place, but there's a real good aerial of the lake with the small building there at the end of the road. Click through it. Here's showing the pine plantation, just showing the habitat around it, just miles and miles of timberland back up. It's a cool track, a pretty track. Somebody's going to come along and fall in love with it. There's the gated entrance to the front, and you can see how secluded it is with this timber along that highway. You're just not, nobody's going to drive along the highway and be peeking into your property and see you or see wildlife. It's just not that way. I mean, it's very secluded. And just there's another real pretty picture of the lake. Some of the trails running through the track. You can see all that there. There's a good picture of that barn I was telling you about. It's excellent for storage. You can get some use out of that. And then in the details down here, it tells you exactly where it is and basically says everything I've talked about. But if you've got some interest in a nice recreational track with a small lake on it with easy and excellent access, 166 acres, Jasper County, Texas. It's at RecLand.net on our land for sale page. Brandon White is the RecLand broker, and Forrester, his name and number are on the listing page there. He's world-class gentleman and extremely knowledgeable. You can't be in better hands if you're looking for an East Texas tract. So give him a call and he can help you with it. Thank you for listening to our land review on the RecLand Realty podcast, and hope you'll check in for more podcasts to come, and have a good day. Bye.